But anyway, before we get into our conversation, we have a great cast, very gifted actors in the house. She's so beautiful. Arielle Jacobs, beautiful, and Andhy Mendez. Did I get it right?
You got it.
This is very exciting, but before we get into the conversation, I just want to bring to everybody's attention, all of us, we had a huge loss this week. One Sunday, he passed away, and I was in rehearsal when I got the text from my friend Valerie, and I just couldn't believe it. Such a tragic loss, and I just, I'm still very sad. I can't tell you. It was such a big shocker.
Yeah.
Right? Remarkable legacy he's leaving behind, and he was what I call an actor's actor. When we talk about Nilo Cruz, because you guys, we're going to be talking about Nilo Cruz and his wonderful talent and Pullitzer Prize. We're talking about his skill as a director, as a writer, right? And you were telling me, Andhy, that he's an actor's director.
He's definitely an actor's director.
He's an actor's director, and I want to hear all about that. So thank you very much for coming, for making the time. I know you guys are busy.
Thanks
you guys
for having
are rehearsing.
Absolutely.
So thank you for taking the time.
No, thank you.
So let's talk about the play.
Sure.
Okay, written by Nilo Cruz.
Yes.
Sotto Voce.
Sotto Voce.
Sotto Voce. Sotto Voce. I've heard that name 100 times and still I'm not getting it right. Sotto Voce.
Yeah,
what does
that sounds
it
good.
mean? What does it mean, Sotto Voce? What does it mean? The title. Can we talk about the synopsis of the play? So we can bring that to the audience first.
Okay, so you want to talk about the synopsis, or do you want to know what Sotto Voce means?
The play, well, I don't know what is more tempting. I wanted to ask you, what does it mean? Because whenever I know soft voice, we were talking about that, right?
Soft voice or whispering voice.
Or whispering voice.
Yes, but Nilo also says that it's kind of like if you're saying something to somebody and it's very important and you want to make sure that they hear you.
That they get it.
That they really get it, and then you know how you kind of drop down the volume and you talk slow and you talk with a lot of intention.
Intensity. Right. So you lower your voice, you concentrate, and you say, okay, let's do this.
Yes.
Okay.
And then people kind of lean in to kind of hear what you're going to say.
Right. Well, Nilo Cruz, everybody knows he's an amazing writer, amazing playwright, brilliant man. Everybody has so much love and respect for him because he's brilliant. And he's so poetic, and it's so much things going on. Like, you know, you have different things taking place at the same time, and he's so poetic.
Yeah.
Right? This is three characters.
Three characters.
Okay, let's talk about it. Andhy, or I don't know which one wants to go first.
Okay, well, this
go first.
three-character play. The characters are Benedetta, she's the writer.
She's the writer.
Saquiel, who Andhy plays. He's a young student from Cuba.
Very passionate, by the way.
And then Lucila, I play her housemaid from Colombia.
Your assistant, you're the assistant, the housemaid. You're like pretty much all in one.
Her friend, her caretaker, her cook. Yes.
Her confidant.
Her maid.
Her maid, but she goes right to the point, let me tell you. When she needs to make the point across, she's like,
she's
boom.
Yeah.
She's right there.
She's right there, right?
Yes, definitely. And the play it's a beautiful play about a woman who was in Germany in 1939. She grew up in Berlin, and she fell in love with a young Jewish man who was sent out on a boat with all these Jewish refugees that were escaping Nazi persecution before World War II. And then his character is kind of looking for more information about this boat and writing a paper about it, but is also infatuated and intrigued by this writer because he's a writer as well.
Right, right. It's like an encounter, right? It's pretty much is like, but it's difficult as well because we were talking about it right before we started, right? That when you have so much poetry, it can be very tricky. Lorca is pure poetry, right? Shakespeare is pure poetry. Chekhov, like Tennessee Williams, all these great playwrights are pure poetry, and when poetry.
So that's why you have to find the moments where you have to break away from the poetry,
right?
You know, because not everything could be legato. You know, you have to make it vary. You have to give it some colors.
Nilo talks about because the language is so poetic, not getting trapped in in performing it in a very poetic way. You have to kind of work the opposite of what the language is. When you read the language, it's this beautiful, slow legato, and then, but
When you get into it.
You have to kind of have an action and a direction and an intention when you're performing it that is the opposite of the words in order for it not to just be this very slow piece, languid piece.
Right. How you guys got casted for this? I'm kind of interested to know what happened. I want to hear about it. Everybody wants to hear about that.
Well, I actually was in I met Nilo a couple of years ago when I was cast to do a one-person show that he wrote, and it was off Broadway. It was called Farhad or the Secret of Being, and it was a musical, a one-person, one-act musical.
How challenging!
It was fantastic, and it was
sounds fantastic
beautiful
too.
and intriguing too. I played this character I played a 12-year-old girl who was raised in Afghanistan, but her family raised her as a boy because of society and to have the freedom of going to school and getting an education. But the piece starts off when my father tells me that I have to go back to dressing as a girl again instead of being a boy, and be married into an arranged marriage with a 50-year-old man as a second wife, and dealing with what it means to be a woman in the Middle East today. And it's actually, I learned that that's a common practice today, that they raise young girls as dressed as boys to have.
It's shocking when I sit down and I read. I mean, it doesn't take. There's a lot of documentaries out there. So much stuff going on. But I sit down and read the Time magazine, and you see all these articles about how women.
It was a Times article that Nilo read that inspired him to write this piece.
The story, because there's a lot of, I'm subscribed to Time magazine, and I tell you, they have this variety of different articles always taking place, like one article for sports, politics, foreign politics, and this obsession with Middle East, all of us were obsessed to a certain degree, because there's a lot of stuff going on that doesn't seem to be quite right. That's very interesting. Well, Nilo is very read. Very deep, but that's how you guys met. You got casted in that.
That's how I met Nilo.
That's how you met him.
Yeah, and then a couple months ago, he reached out to me for this piece that he'd written and was planning. The production was already planned for the Theater for the New City. So he asked if I was available for the dates, and I read the piece and loved it. You
loved it.
Yeah.
What about you, Andhy?
I met Nilo in 2007, about 6 months after I moved to New York. We separately decided to go see Tito Puente at Carnegie Hall. And he was sitting 2 seats from me. I knew who he was, he didn't know who I was. And a mutual friend introduced me to him, and I said, hi, it's an honor.
It's an honor.
And that's it. And in 2012, I played Laertes in Hamlet, Prince of Cuba.
I read about that. What a beautiful title.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. It was set in 1898. Cuba.
Who wrote the play?
Well, it's William Shakespeare. It's the same.
It's the same.
It was the same Hamlet that we all know.
Oh, okay,
However,
all right. Because I wasn't 100% sure when I read it. Because there's adaptations taking place about Hamlet, even in Costa Rica, where I come from.
Of course.
Somebody wrote a play based on Hamlet, but totally. So that's why I was like, oh, wait a second. Okay. So that's how
the play was done in English and in Spanish with the same cast. Nilo Cruz did the translation to Spanish.
Oh, okay,
That's
wonderful.
how I met Nilo as an actor.
I see.
And it was great working with him. We worked very little, but in the back of my mind, I said, I need to work with him again. I need to work with him again.
What makes him so fascinating? Because let me tell you, I was getting ready for this interview, doing my work like I always do, Googling and getting on YouTube. Okay, let me get this done. Let me get this work done. And number one, he's brilliant. Number two, he seems to be extremely approachable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
It's something about him that I think he knows how smart he is, and obviously everybody respects him, but he seems to be very humble, and he seems to be very happy in his own skin.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's ideal for a director. He's a writer, actor, director, writer, director, but to be able to bring the writer, like I just kind of wonder, how does it work when you're directing your own work? And I guess for everybody it's different. For every playwright it's a different experience.
Sure.
But how does it work, in terms of like you writing your own work, writing it, coming from your guts, coming from your heart, and then taking the back seat and say, okay, now I'm not the writer, I'm not the playwright, now I'm directing the play.
It's interesting. I think that Nilo has a lot of trust in the development and discovery and the process. He talked about when he writes a play, he doesn't know the order. He doesn't know, he says he doesn't write a play in order. So he'll write some scenes and then at the end he kind of fits them together. He weaves them together. And I think as a director, he also, you know, he said he doesn't know what it's going to look like. He doesn't block it before we get to the stage, before we do a scene. He has no idea what it's going to be. But there's just there's a deep trust that I sense that
and great instincts.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And great instincts, because there's no way that you can direct actors, and actors will want to be protected. I mean, it's great to take risk, but we need to know that we're in good hands.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's essential for actors to trust not only the material, to trust the director. And he seems to have that pretty good.
He has it down packed.
Like he got it, he's shooting it.
And it's funny though, because Sotto Voce is a musical term. He always talks about the music of the piece as a whole, and you know, the allegro of a certain scene or a certain part, and then how it gets. He talks about the musicality of a play that he's written, and as a director, he talks about that a lot. About the musicality of what the piece is evoking and the rhythms of it. So it's interesting that the title of the play is a musical term.
But even it seems to me too, when I was reading it, that he used a lot of images. Like he's like a composition, like one, another one, and I guess every writer has a different way of putting things down. But he's deep and he's poetic, and in one page you see a lot of things going on. Like this woman, she's fascinating, you know, she gets so much knowledge and he wants to suck everything he can. Right? And I even wrote a few that I don't know if I can cover it now, but it got my attention. When he says to her that I'm learning not to ask too many questions about your words. I'm learning, because he's overwhelmed. Obviously, he is overwhelmed by this woman. He's fascinated by her.
He is, but also it's a struggle. It's a give and take between her character and mine, because I want to meet her. I want her to let me into her life, and since she has been a recluse for the past 20 years, it's very hard for her to open up to anybody. I think the only person she does that to is Lucilla, but you've been working with her for 10 years.
And I prod her to get her to open up.
Of course.
Right.
So, let alone, I mean, some random guy that decides to come here on a student visa and is asking questions about her past.
But it's his persistence.
That he's relentless. He's absolutely, and he's so passionate. I mean, it takes somebody special. You know, we don't open up that easily with strangers, do we? So that to me is what was interesting about the play, that we don't quite open up because we seem to be guarded, you know, we just have to protect.
We live in a very guarded world.
We live in a very extremely guarded world.
So we're accustomed to the world, our surroundings.
That's the way things are, right?
Yeah.
So to have a stranger come to your picture and, you know, shake the floor a little bit, it's quite remarkable, because we don't do that much with strangers, you know?
You're right.
It's something that it really even got my attention when I was reading it. Oh, how fascinating is when you are taken. And she's taken.
Absolutely.
And as a reader, you're pretty much willing to take that ride. You want to see, okay, where's she's going to go? Where's she's going to go? So you're kind of like...
One of the things that is a theme in the play is what Nilo calls uncovered secrets. Having like the secrets that everyone carries, and
everybody has some. Everybody's hiding something.
Everybody's got secrets, and we all mask them or show them at different times. Right. But the character of Arielle, you know, being the kind of the spark that sets off this fire in this piece, is that, you know, he's the one who sees people for who they really are.
Right. He's a straight shooter in his own way.
Absolutely. And he's a survivor.
And he's a survivor.
He's Cuban.
He's Cuban. Well, fire.
As are you.
As am I.
Arielle. You said, I pronounce it Arielle. Arielle, right?
Yeah.
Arielle is the right way to say it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, very exotic. But what I was going to say, that I said, I forgot. It's interesting because she makes, like, she had the inner voice, and it's very intimate. Right? It's like the atmosphere is very intimate.
Well, I mean, at least the conversations that her and I have is either through a phone or through emails.
Right.
That's it.
That's pretty much it.
That's
nothing else.
Right.
So that in its sense, it's very